I had no job. I had nothing lined up for the next year. I had absolutely no security. I had no income. Your girl was down the worstest. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mia Sanchez, Mia K. Sanchez, and I make college, technology, and lifestyle content. And today I'm going to be letting y'all into a little piece of my life, which is that I've recently signed a full-time job offer. She's gonna be employed. She's gonna be an employee. In November, I signed a full-time job offer. The breakdown of this video is that first, I'm going to be going over my full-time recruiting process, what the job application process was like for me. Then I'm going to go over the interview process with the specific company that I signed for. And then I'm going to be letting y'all know a little bit more about the company, announcing where I'll be working. Then I'm gonna go into my offer details, talking about the shmoney, the location, all that jazz. And then lastly, I'm just going to be giving y'all some advice, some general advice for if you're trying to recruit for full-time right now or next year, or honestly just recruiting for internships in general. So yay, I'm so excited. I'm very excited and I'm very happy and I'm feeling very blessed, and the fruits of my labor, I enjoy them while they're still ripe. So now just starting to talk about my full-time job hunting process, starting off with some of my stats. I'm Mia. I am a senior majoring in computer science, graduating May 2022. I have past work experience at Google. I interned there for 2 summers. Last summer, I was at a startup, a very small company, literally 5 people. The company's called Top Knot. I was doing software engineering intern work. I have some leadership experience on campus. I've been involved in a project team. I have over a 3.5 GPA, and I'm getting a Bachelor of Arts. So it's basically all the information that would come up on a job application or on my resume. So with that being said, let me get into the actual job hunting process. So going into fall 2021, going into my fall of my senior year when application process was heavy, I had no offer. I had nothing guaranteed. I had no clue where I was going to be working the next year. I was definitely anxious about that. I had nothing lined up. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I had no clue where I was going to end up. I had no clue how much money I would be making. I had no clue if I would even have a job. The only thing I knew for sure was that I didn't want to work at Google again. That's like the only thing I knew for sure. A lot of uncertainty. That was also really difficult for me because I go to Cornell where all the students are high achieving. Everybody has a summer internship, so a lot of the people around me had return offers for full-time, and a lot of people around me had also set themselves up so that they had a full-time offer by the end of summer 2021. So I was like, oh, is it just me looking for a job right now? Because y'all are chilling. When I say that everyone around me had like a job offer, I mean like the seniors in like CS/tech that I knew and that I worked with. I don't know what people in like finance or law or people who are on the grad school track were doing. So I was talking about people in my immediate field. A lot of my friends had return offers. And I was unemployed. I was unemployed. Everybody else who was recruiting was kind of doing it either to leverage an offer or just doing it to do it. Your girl needed a job. And she had no job. At that point, I had known, okay, I don't want to work at FANG. I don't want to work in big tech. I do not want to do that. I just felt like with the work that I like doing and also the collaborative environments that I like to work in, I'm a very hands-on girl. I like to know what's happening at all times. And at a big company, there's just like too many different moving parts. So I was just like, I don't want to work in big tech. No gracias. There's that, but then there was also just the fact that I didn't have a job. At that point, I just started to mass apply. I was applying to every company that had an opening, which as you can imagine was literally all of them because everybody's looking for new grad software engineers. So I was applying. I applied to Facebook, Pinterest, Slack, Duolingo. A lot more than that. Here we are. So now we get to my first hacker rank. I had a hacker rank with Duolingo. Terrible. It was actually terrible. I did so bad, like so bad. And it didn't like upset me, but I was just like, damn. Is this what y'all are expecting of new grad software engineers? I couldn't answer any of the questions. So I obviously failed that. Duolingo rejected me. I ended up hearing back from Facebook about a first round interview. Cool. I got that. It was a 40-minute interview with 2 20-minute questions. I ended up doing it. Cool. So I made it to the final round of Facebook. So Facebook emailed me and they were like, yay, you made it to the next round. Let's set up your interview for, let's say, next week. Give us all of your availability. Set out 5 hours of your day for an interview. At this point, I was like, 5 hours, that's a lot. 5 hours is a lot of time for one day. And then I thought about the fact that I would be trying to make it to final round interviews with a lot of these companies. And then I just had a moment where I was like, this is taking up a lot of my time. I don't even want to work at these companies, so why am I doing this? So then I just stopped. I literally basically pulled all of my applications for all of the companies that I had applied to, and I was like, okay, at this point on, I am only applying to companies that I would actually work at. As you can imagine, I'm now limiting the amount of companies that I'm applying to, aka limiting my chances to get a job, so that only gave me more anxiety. However, I feel like you have to be really strategic with your time when you are full-time recruiting because it takes a lot of time and you are still a full-time college student. So I was trying to find a full-time job while also being a full-time college student, while balancing responsibilities of being a student leader on campus, while also working a job. It was just too much that I really had to sit down with myself and be like, girl, you can't do this. And it was also hard because, again, all the people around me were just applying to everything, doing whatever, and I kind of felt like I needed to keep up with that, but no. So I pulled all of my applications and I started only applying to places I would actually work at. The companies that I was actually considering working at were Stripe, Slack, Pinterest, Figma, and there was a startup called Byteboard, which I really, really, really wanted to work at, but their timeline wasn't matching up with the full-time recruiting that I was trying to do because I did really just want to snatch up a job. So those were the 5 companies that I really, really, really wanted to work at. Another company that I would have liked to have applied to was Spotify, but their application hadn't opened yet. But those were my tops. I had so much anxiety. I still hadn't even really had a full-time final round interview. Your girl was anxious. With the companies that you apply to, a lot of times they'll have some sort of coding assessment before the actual interview. So popular ones are HackerRank, CodeSignal, LeetCode, Byteboard, which is the company that I wanted to work at, and there's more, but they're basically all an exam, which is basically just testing your basic knowledge of computer science. Some of the questions are really hard, some of them are really fair. It honestly depends on the company. So I had to take a Byteboard assessment for this company. I really enjoyed the assessment. I thought it was a very fair assessment of what I actually know and how I'm actually able to think and solve problems, because sometimes I think hacker ranks aren't necessarily testing you on how you problem solve, but how much you studied or memorized algorithms or data structures. So I took this Byteboard assessment, and first of all, I had fun. I had a lot of fun taking this assessment. I thought it went really well, and now I just had to wait for my results. So at the end of September, this company that I took the Byteboard assessment for reached out to me and they said, we want to interview you. At that point, I had a lot of mixed emotions. Obviously, I was happy because the company wanted to interview me, but also I was anxious / stressed because I just didn't want to have to go through the interview process. But I was also grateful, but then I was also just feeling overwhelmed because having to set out 4 hours of your day in a busy schedule was crazy, but whatever. We got to these interviews. I had 1 behavioral interview, 2 technical interviews, and then what they'll call a design discussion. So first I had my first technical coding assessment interview on the phone. It was cool, it was good vibes, it was really collaborative. I really enjoyed it. It was fine. Next, I had my design discussion. So the purpose of the design discussion is basically it's a very high level, open-ended problem that there's really no correct solution to. So it's basically just trying to gauge how you think, how you approach problems, how you, what you do with data structures, how you approach data structures and separate and break the problem up into different pieces. And it's also really trying to view how you communicate. This interview did not go well. When I tell you, I was just what's going on? It didn't go well, y'all. The interview did not go well. And I was okay, well, bye, have a nice day. And then I had a little 15-minute break or whatever. And then I had another technical interview, which also I think went fine, it went well. And then lastly, I had my like behavioral engineering values interview, which was basically just like an engineering manager talking to me about my resume, about my work experience, about how I view like collaboration and working on a team. So that interview also went really well. We spent a lot of time talking about my student organization, Underrepresented Minorities in Computing, which I'm co-president of. Talked to them about managing an e-board of 30 people, what it's like holding programmings, weekly e-board meetings, all that jazz. So that went really well. So by the end of the interview day, I was like, okay, this didn't go terribly. It went pretty well, but that design discussion interview kind of wrecked me. So I was definitely like on the fence, because outside of that design discussion interview, I was like, I got this in the bag. But the design discussion interview is really important because it really matters how you approach, solve problems, communicate, all that jazz. So I think maybe 2 days later, I got a call from my recruiter, and I was like, very nervous, obviously. So she calls me and she's like, so the team really loved you. They spoke so highly of you, but we are a little unsure of your design discussion interview. Would you mind doing this interview again with someone else, just so we can like get the vibes? And I was like, So part of me was like, flip, fudge, poo, because like, who wants to like prolong the interview process, you know? Like, I didn't even want to have one interview. Now you're telling me I have to have another interview after I thought I was done interviewing. But obviously I said yes because I had a really positive interview experience overall. At this point, I really liked the company and I really wanted to work there. And I was just like, you know what? Let's do it. So a few days later, I ended up having another design interview and it went really well. And the person who was my interviewer was so nice and super cool. And the interview was really collaborative and it was just a super positive experience. So at this point I was like, things are moving. And then a few days later, I got another email from my recruiter saying she wanted references. So basically 2 people that I've worked with in the past who can vouch for me or speak on my work style, how I work with other people. So I ended up choosing my manager from last summer, who also ended up becoming my mentor, and the founder of the company that I worked at last summer, the co-founder / CEO of the company. I put them down as my references and they spoke to the company. I don't know exactly what they said. I don't know what the questions were, but they basically vouched for me. And then I ended up getting an offer. So I ended up getting an actual full-time offer on October 22nd, 2021. Yay! And now for the big reveal. The company that I'm gonna be working at is called Figma. Yay! So Figma is basically a design prototype platform with a big emphasis on collaboration. I guess the way that I could like try and describe it is like Adobe XD meets the collaboration of like Google Docs. That's a terrible, horrible description. Basically a design platform with a big emphasis on people. So they have their 2 products, which is like Figma, which is like used for a lot of prototyping. So when you want to design an app or a website, or honestly like anything cool and funky, you can use Figma. But then there's also now FigJam, which is like a collaborative whiteboard, and the work that they're doing is super cool because, as you can imagine, we're virtual now, and a lot of like whiteboarding or like just thinking out loud spaces are much harder to come by now that we're on Zoom. So they're bringing like that collaborative aspect to life, which I think is so dope and so cool. The company right now, they have I think around 700 or 800 employees, so less than 1,000 employees. They're super small. They have 2 locations, one in San Francisco, one in New York City. I'm gonna be in New York. And now just getting a little bit more into why I chose the company. So at Cornell, there is this class, it's called Intro to DPD, which is Intro to Digital Product Design. It's taught by one of the project teams here on campus, Cornell App Dev. So in this class, they're teaching students about product design, and it's a student-run class. And the main tool that they use to design apps, all that shit, I'm not a designer, so this sounds horrible. The main tool that they use is Figma. So I'm gonna shout out one of my friends here. One of my friends, Tony, actually took that class his sophomore year in the fall, took his sophomore fall, and by the end of sophomore fall, had learned Figma and had a internship at Facebook lined up for the next summer. another friend, Tisha. Amazing, 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 beautiful girl. She took this class, learned Figma, and she just was able to, y'all, like when I tell you the doors that I've opened for her, and like just seeing her fall in love with design and also to just like grow as a designer and now teach this tool to people, like I've just seen the way firsthand that this tool has opened doors for so many people. So I just thought it was so cool. My mentee Emily, like she took DPD, learned how to use Figma, learned with Tisha, did her little case study. She now has a job at Microsoft. Like, I just think the technology is so cool and is doing such cool and innovative things. And just to see the influence that it's had on people is so important to me. And it's one of the main reasons why I wanted to work there, because I feel like it is a product that's literally changing people's career paths, people's lives, people's interests. So that's the product. After interviewing and also just hearing things about the company culture, I really like that. Company culture was a really, really big thing for me. I really, really want to feel comfortable at work. I want to feel like I am safe and free to be as I am there. And since it is a design company, there's a lot of designers, there's a lot of artists on the company, there's a lot of creative people. So I'm just so excited to be in that space. Y'all don't understand. So that's the company I'm going to be working at. I really liked how personal the interview experience was, because with a lot of like, you know, big companies, it's like boom, 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 boom. We just got to hire people. And with Figma, it didn't feel like that. It felt very personalized. The fact that they then had these references that they reached out to, that they wanted to really get to know me as a candidate, really meant a lot to me, because I do really care about that personal one-on-one experience. I don't just want to be like one of 100,000 employees. To say I'm one of 1,000 is really, really small. It's really small for a tech company, and especially a tech company that's doing as much work as Figma is. So I'm very happy. Okay, so next I'm going to be talking about my offer details. So I'm not about to like give y'all all of my tea. I'm not about to give y'all my exact numbers, my social security. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not in the business of telling y'all exactly how much money I'm gonna make. This is what I will say though. Last summer, I decided to leave Google and work at a startup. My original offer for the startup is less than half of what I would have been making if I decided to stay at Google. As you can imagine, everybody was like, don't do it, stay with the bag, make your money. Like, everybody was telling me not to do it. I ended up negotiating. I made a little bit more money, but I was still making less money than if I would have stayed at Google. The reason I'm saying this is because if I would have listened to those people, I would have ended up pursuing an opportunity that I did not want to do just for money. I can now say that at Figma, I'm going to be making just as much money as if I would have stayed at Google. And the only reason I'm saying this is because people put so much emphasis on money, and they make it seem like you can't have the career that you want and also make a lot of money. And I just want to say that I was able to do what I wanted to do, and now I'm still going to be making just as much money, actually probably more money, which is a very big deal. It's not about money, and at this age you shouldn't be chasing money, but this just goes to show that there's so many opportunities outside of like tech. There's so many opportunities to make money, so I say do what you love and the money will follow. I've also been given stocks for the company, so basically if I stay at the company for an entire year, I get to fully keep my sign-on bonus, and I get a percentage of the stocks, and I think like year by year you get more and more of a percentage. Y'all, I'm not a financially literate girl. It's kind of embarrassing, but whatever. I'm gonna be making enough money to sustain myself for living in New York City. I really wanted to be in the city. That was a really big thing for me. I knew I didn't want to be in the Bay. They have like all that healthcare shit. This is so bad. So they do have like healthcare benefits or whatever. Like, I'm gonna be getting my healthcare benefits. There's like that 401k stuff. What is it called? I'm getting like a stipend for like my physical and mental well-being. It's like a monthly stipend to help me like be healthy or whatever. I think I get an annual like stipend for career or professional endeavors. Like if I wanted to go to the NESB conference or the Tapia conference on behalf of Figma, they give me like, I don't know how much money, but they do give me some money to support me there, which is really exciting. And then another cool part of the experience with Figma specifically was that once I got my offer, I actually got to speak to the CEO and founder of the company. So that was really, really cool. Like, very personalized. I really enjoyed that. I really valued it. Come to find out, I think they only hired around 30 new software engineering new grad positions, so that's not really a lot. In terms of the offer was basically a good tech offer. That's all I'm going to say on that, because I don't want to disclose how much money I'm going to be making, but has all the health benefits. Seems like there's also some initial other cool benefits. Sorry guys, I really don't know anything about this, but I also don't know how much of this information I'm allowed to disclose, but I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. And it was never about the money, but the fact that I'm gonna be making just as much money as if I would have stayed at Google proves to all of my, I don't want to call them haters, but just proves to people that you don't need to work at this big prestigious company if you want to be making money. You have options, you have choices. So I will be at Figma next year for at least a year. Who knows what's gonna happen after that? I am so excited and so grateful. Part of this is feeling blessed. Another part of this is knowing that I like put in the work and the effort and also the trust in myself to find this opportunity. So she's feeling good. Lastly, I just wanted to give y'all some tips, tell you guys about some lessons that I learned along the way, mistakes that I learned along the way. I think I might do another separate video talking about how I studied for full-time job interviews, how I prepared for that. But this is more just about like yourself, and preparing for this process mentally and things you should do going into it. I think a really big thing that I realized when I had decided to leave Google is that when people of color, or when women, or when people from low income spaces or from underrepresented groups begin to achieve success, I think there's this guilt that comes with not being satisfied with where you're at. And what I mean by that is, when I was at Google, that was obviously an amazing opportunity. I was making a lot of money, but I wasn't happy, and I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do with my career. And when I realized that, there was a lot of backlash from like everyone around me, like my family, my peers, not necessarily my mentors, but like basically everyone around me was like, no, stick with this opportunity. You're never gonna get anything better than this. You're never gonna make as much money. Like, why can't you just be happy with this? If I would have listened to them, I literally wouldn't have an offer that I am so happy and ecstatic about. If you want more, if you want something different, not even more, just something different, pursue that. Especially at this young age. I'm 21. I was 20 when I signed my offer. I was 19 when I decided that I didn't want to work at Google and I wanted to work at a startup. Like, we are so young. Do whatever you want to do, because now is the time to do it. Now is the time to do what you want to do, and you have every right to want to switch that up. And that's on par. That is on par. Do not feel guilty for wanting more, for wanting something different, even though a lot of people try to make you feel that way. And that's just because they're uncomfortable admitting to themselves what they want. Even with me, I'm gonna work this job next year. I don't know what's gonna happen the year after that. I really don't. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with trying different things, with trying new things, with exploring my options. You have all the choices and all the autonomy in your career. My next piece of advice is to never be the person telling yourself no. Allow other people to tell you no. If there's an opportunity that you really want, don't stop yourself from applying for it. Apply for it, and if you get rejected, cool, that's someone else telling you no. But you should never say, no, I shouldn't, or no, I don't want to. Never talk yourself out of something that you're interested in doing. Even if it's a little bit of interest, even if you feel like you're underqualified for it, never do that. A rejection is not a big deal, babe. It's not a big deal. You don't only have one chance to apply for something. So if you want something, go for it, try it out, speak to people in the space. Next piece of advice is to embarrass yourself. What I mean by this is that interviewing is an acquired skill. You don't just walk into your first interview ever and kill it off the bat. Slay! You don't do that. I mean, maybe some people do. But you're not only gonna have one interview in your life, and not every interview that you have is gonna go well. The more you practice the skill of interviewing, the more you get better at it, and the easier interviews become. And one way to practice this is by doing mock interviews, by working with your friends, by working with mentors, by working with people in different organizations offering mock interviews. And in the beginning, it can be really uncomfortable to have to interview with someone that you either know or that you don't know, but just allow yourself to be really uncomfortable in that space and to get advice on it and to learn from it and then go to the real thing and then you slay it, because you never want the real interview to be your practice. So I was doing a lot of mock interviews, I was doing a lot of peer and collaborative work, and there were times where I felt really embarrassed and uncomfortable because I was like, oh my god, like my bestie's gonna think I'm dumb because I didn't know how to sort this list in all of whatever time. Like, allow yourself to feel that discomfort because it's going to be there regardless. So you'd rather do that while you're with a friend than to do it in the real life interview. I cannot stress this enough. Mock interview, and don't be shy. Don't be shy. Last really big thing that I learned is that although this is like the full-time recruiting process, although we are still learning so much, although we are signing these offers, no decision is final. This decision is not forever. This decision may not even be for 2 years, and I think that when you start looking at things like that, it just makes it a lot easier for you to navigate the space and to really ask yourself what you want in this moment. Because what I want right now, I just know it's not going to be what I want next year, because things change as you experience more and more. So don't feel like whatever offer you sign, that's where you're going to be working for the rest of your life or even for the next 5 years. I see myself jumping around a lot, and that's just because I know I'm interested in a lot of different things and experiences and companies. I am a Sagittarius, so I feel like this is the thing that I'm doing. It's not forever. I know it's not forever. Some people find comfort in that. Some people, that really stresses them out. No decision is final, so whatever you do, like, it's reversible. It's not the end of the world. Knowing that really helped me to like take a lot of pressure off of whatever decision I was trying to make. I'm really happy with my decision. I'm really happy with my choices. I'm really proud of myself for making it to this point. I'm really excited to work at this company. I am excited to hopefully bring on people who I think are amazing, women of color who I think are amazing. I'm so hype, and I'm gonna be in the city. All my friends are gonna be in the city. I'm feeling really happy, and I just really want everyone to be honest with themselves about what they want or what they don't want, because you don't have to want what other people want. That's what I noticed. I didn't want what other people wanted, and I felt really guilty about that for a while, but at some point it's like, F it, you know, whatever. This is my choice, this is my life, and you just have to do what's gonna make you happy. Prioritize your own happiness, especially while we're young and in our 20s. Forget the paper, do what you want, take that risk. That was my video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If y'all have any questions about anything, let me know in the comments down below. I am so excited for this next chapter of my life, and I can't wait to bring you guys into it in whichever way I choose to do that. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you need anything, let me know in the comments down below. I'm excited, I'm happy, feeling blessed, and I will see y'all very, very, very soon. I love you all so much. Continue to do what brings you joy, and I will see you in my next video. All I really want to see is I don't really need the D, I need the, all a bad bitch needs some money. I got bangs.